everyone. Welcome again to our tax provision functionality series. And in this episode, we're going to talk about pre-tax book income policies, so PTBI for short. So you have activated your unit, you've created one in the software and want to start using it. So when you activate the unit, initially, it's really just a shell. So we have to go in and put rates into the system so that we can give the system some guidance on how we want to calculate some various things. So within our unit, what I call our unit administration screen, we've got our rates, we've got other, we have properties. So when we go into our rate screen, this will be the first place that we will see our PTBI data entry policy. Now, when you first activated the unit, the default will be enter local, enter your FX rate, and calculate your USD. And just to tie some things in, this policy will dictate really the pre-tax book income is the only area that you can enter data into one source tax provision in two different currencies, local currency and USD or reporting currency. Anything else you enter into the system, your temps, your perms, your NOLs, etc., the assumption is that all of these are in local currency. You don't get to choose what that currency is. It's the flexibility of the software that you can just kind of select when you set up the unit what currency it will be, and that currency will be put in at the top of your reports. But the software is really agnostic to currency itself. The only way it comes into play is when we need to do a translation from your local to your reporting currency reports. So it's why we need to kind of select a pre-tax book income policy for a PTBI, but also why we need to put in our FX rates later on. So when you put your pre-tax book income policy in, as I said, the default is to enter local FX and it will calculate your USD. If you don't want that as your pre-tax book income policy, maybe you cannot get your trial balance in local currency. So there are a variety of other ways that you can put your pre-tax book income in. So our options are, we've got 5 of them. You can enter your USD, you can enter the FX rate and calculate your local. You can enter local, you can enter USD if you've got both and have the system calculate your FX, or you could enter local, USD, and FX, so all 3. Or you can enter local USD FX and calculate a rounding. So I think with the first 3, we sometimes have issues when we are trying to compare back to what's on the trial balance in terms of converted amounts on the trial balance. And the problem is because when it comes to pre-tax book income, of course, income is booked throughout your year. And if you're booking in foreign currency and your software, your ERP system is translating it, it's at different rates throughout the year. Unfortunately, we only have the ability in one source tax provision to put one weighted average FX rate in. So all we're trying to do is try to get as close as possible. I'm actually going to kind of walk through the enter local USD FX and calc rounding option. Let me select that now, because this at least allows for a way to kind of tie back to your amount on your trial balance in local currency. And what this does is, in essence, your pre-tax book income uses weighted average for the calculation. So what this is doing is, because you are telling the software everything, you're putting your local currency in, your USD, and you're putting a weighted average. What it's going to do is it's going to translate your local currency to the USD amount using the weighted average we have given it. If the USD amount that you entered does not match the translated USD amount, it's going to throw that number into rounding. So let's just put in maybe just like, we'll just do 1.5 as a rate for your weighted average FX. And I'm going to go into the review and edit screen, go to my pre-tax book income area and add a line. So this dictates how you can enter data in the software. So notice it already populated that my pre-tax book income data entry policy is local. My currency, my weighted average, and calculate the rounding. So I'm just going to select my pre-tax book income code. My class, I'll pick current activity. And you'll notice that both my local and my reporting currency is available. So I'm going to put 10 million in, and I'm going to put maybe 13 in for my reporting currency. I'm going to save my changes. Okay. I'm now going to go into the report, and when I run my local currency, select my unit, 1050, and run my provision. You can see that I have my $10 million here based on my local currency. Now I'm going to change it to reporting, and I'm going to run it again. And you will see that I have an FX adjustment of 6333. So what that is telling me is that when the system converted my FX, my $10 million of pre-tax book income, it did not end up with 13 million. So if I was just to go in, let's see, just hop in here and open a version. I had my 10 million. You just, and my exchange rate was 1.5, but it's actually equals 1 divided by 1.5. All right, so if I multiply that by that number, that's the conversion. But I said my converted number was 13 million. So that's what you are seeing here. It's trying to get me back to the 6.66, which is what the weighted average I put in is versus what I said the book number. So it will run that through as a P&L number and then tax effect that as well. Also, if you are your pre-tax book in policy, if you're using the bridge to bring in your trial balance, when you're setting up your bridge mappings for your pre-tax book income, you will have to select the currency. So this dictates how the data comes in as well. If you selected load local for an entity, but you set that entity up as load USD, then when you load your trial balance, nothing will come in because it's expecting a USD number and you selected local. So you just have to be aware of your pre-tax book income policy when you're loading data into the software using the bridge mapping. I just want to kind of show you as well what this looks like, because in the unit screen that we were in, you were actually able to see everything written out. If you export your data set or your entities you're within the data set to get the pound you pound tab, when you look at the, it's called weighted average policy within that tab, you will see that it's not written out. It just uses some acronyms. So UW, or let me go down here, LW will mean load your local currency PTBI and the weighted average FX rate, which is the default I mentioned earlier. Load UW will be your USD, PTBI and weighted FX rate. LU will be load your local currency PTBI and your USD, and then you're going to calculate the weighted FX rate. LUW will be load your local currency pre-tax book income, your USD pre-tax book income, and your weighted average FX rate. And then LUWR, which was the example we just walked through, will be load your local PTBI, USD PTBI, weighted average, FX rate, and then calculate the rounding adjustment. All right, so that's it really on pre-tax book income policies. Hopefully this was helpful for you and not too confusing. And now you know exactly where to enter data into the system depending on the pre-tax book income policy you have. But more importantly, what to do if you try to enter something in to like your data entry screen or via the import template or via the bridge import and it does not come into the software, you have an idea of what to do to troubleshoot. Look forward to seeing you on another episode.